formation. Novak fakes the handoff, looking, throwing into the end zone. Shandle is there and makes the catch. Touchdown, Heritage. What a catch by Michael Shandle.
Great catch.
Welcome back, everybody, here to ISPN.TV as we break down the latest CET Sports and Xfinity high school football polls in both Class 4A and 5A. As always, I'm joined by Marty Cesario. My name is Brian Roth, and again, it's another fun week of high school football here in the state of Colorado. And the top teams, Marty, in both 4A and 5A have really remained the same. None of those teams seem to be losing, but we always get a lot of the shift as we get down towards the bottom of both the 5A and the 4A polls. So, as always, we open up with Class 5A. And at the top, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They all stay the same, and even number 6 stays the same from last week with Ralston Valley, but they stay there despite suffering their first loss of the season. Pomona drills the Mustangs by a score of 28-0, a real statement win for those Pomona Panthers.
Absolutely. Obviously, the Panthers have regrouped after taking that loss to Valor Christian, which we always qualify with the fact that they were missing 12 guys, almost all of those guys starters. Pomona's clearly clicking. Beat RV, they moved ahead 21-zip, at the end of the first half, so clearly they were in command from the get-go. Dylan Carter, 147 yards rushing, had 3 TDs. He's battling Cameron McDonald for the overall 5A scoring title because Dylan's also the kicker in that game. Keegan Pratt and Dion Mays, 11 tackles each. Again, defense certainly a big part of what the Panthers are doing in blanking a pretty good RV squad.
Yeah, it's a real nice win for Pomona. We didn't move Ralston Valley down further in the polls. They're sitting at 7-1. We still think that Matt Lloyd as a quality football team, and we kept them just ahead of Lakewood and Horizon, both of whom were on our poll last week, both of whom move up. There was a team that was knocked out. In fact, a couple of them. Highlands Ranch is out after they suffered a 31-0 shutout loss to Chaparral. Hey, watch out for John Vogt and those Wolverines. They have 2 very tight losses here on the season. Regis is also out. They got knocked off by Thunder Ridge here this past week.
Thunder Ridge, nice job regrouping. We saw them, take a couple of losses, and, one of them including Highlands Ranch. But, hey, regroup, beat Regis. Regis always on our radar because they just play tough, hard-nosed football, and they're well coached by Coach Nolan. But, hey, congratulations to Coach Joe Johnson and those Grizzlies. In a just grind-em-out Continental affair, they win 10-3, so Schlegel, Beerline, Travis Holder, nice defensive effort on part of the Grizzlies, and you get to be at number 9. And how about the debut of Fountain Fort Carson for Coach Mitch Johnson? They play a great defense with Kevin Davis and Deontay Norman. They've got 2 shutouts. Their only losses are to Pine Creek and Grand Junction, so those are some top squads in the top 2 classifications. They've got an excellent running back in Trey Bankston, so certainly they deserve a chance to get in our top 10 as a debut here late in the year.
Yeah, you mentioned Davis. He's a Division I prospect at that linebacker spot for the Trojans. So congratulations to Fountain Fort Carson. There's only 2 undefeated teams left, Columbine and Grand Junction. Grand Junction most likely is going to finish the season undefeated. Columbine certainly could, but that undefeated record is going to be tested this week. The biggie in Class 5A and really across the state. Columbine and Mullen coming up this week.
Yeah, we're totally waiting for that. And Columbine coming off a real nice win. They beat Bear Creek, another dangerous team with a couple of losses, but you got to watch out for the Bears. Each McDonald had over 150 yards rushing and a pair of touchdowns. This squad hasn't scored anything less than 35 all season long. It's going to be a great one to watch. The Mustangs and the Rebels this week.
Yeah, it's going to be out of Jeffco Stadium on Friday night. And Columbine's still smarting a little bit from that loss last year. They got beat up pretty good at De La Salle Stadium. So Columbine an opportunity for some revenge here as they try to stay undefeated. Okay, let's shift gears. We move into Class 4A, and the top, pretty much like 5A, it's going to stay the same. The top teams are doing what the top teams do. And as you look at it there, Valor remains at number 1. They win last week over Littleton via a forfeit. Not enough healthy players apparently for the Littleton Lions, so Valor gets that win. But a lot of change down there at the bottom. Cheyenne, Mountain, and Broomfield, you see them right there at 9 and 10. They each suffered losses here this past week.
Well, Broomfield lost to the number 2 team in the state, so we'll kind of give them a break. When we think of Broomfield, so we're going to keep them within the top 10 here. Wetterstrom for Longmont. Look, these guys are 9-0, and you kind of explain that they'll take that bye week before the regular season. But what I like from Forrest Wetterstrom, the quarterback, just 8 completions, 206 yards, and a couple of TDs. So that's a nice ratio there per clip. Monarch Coyotes, we know their offense where they're running that double wing there, but defensively they're just lights out. Here they are sitting at 8-0. They've given up 7 points a game, no more than 14 in any game. They've got 3 shutouts, got a couple of good teams ahead. Green Mountain 6-2, but then Wheat Ridge coming up, and that's what we'll be looking for in the Mountain Plains finale towards the end of the year.
Yeah, we had Wheat Ridge on the airwaves here this past week as well. We had them against Stanley Lake, and they shut out the Gators by the count of 42-0. The ground game was going for Wheat Ridge, and just too much as they slowly suffocated Stanley Lake there. So we have had Wheat Ridge on this past week. We're going to have Wheat Ridge Monarch here in a couple of weeks. That's going to be a biggie in Class 4A. It's going to be at a Warrior Stadium at Centaurus High School. And again, another look at that 4A poll, and Cheyenne Mountain stays in.
Yeah.
They lose to Rampart, which I know a lot of us thought it was a surprising loss there, and Whitefield goes to 7-1 in the season as they knocked off Pueblo South, that we saw the week before in that Cannon game. Looked like they were starting to get healthy, speaking of the Colts, and we thought that they might provide a stiffer test for Whitefield, but yeah, I think Whitefield's pretty good.
Yeah, you like the Colts, and then look at Whitefield. They're playing great defense, and Marquise Coddington with the run game, 201 yards rushing against Pueblo South. They win 29-7. They stay 7-1, and we'll look forward to what they're going to do in their regular season finale against Cheyenne Mountain, who you mentioned, disappointing loss against 5A Rampart, and they've got a couple of squads ahead of them in the Foothills Conference, including Whitefield end of the year, but they got another big one against the Mesa Ridge Grizzlies coming up this week.
That's still some more change upcoming here in both the polls, no question. Again, 5A, they end their regular season coming up here this next week. 4A goes that 10-week schedule. They still have a couple weeks left here of their regular season. For Marty Cesario, I'm Brian Roth. As always, we join you every Monday right here on ISPN.TV. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again coming up next week.